Hey guys, Jason here with the Patriot Podcast. Today's topic is going to be kind of controversial, so I'm going to have to speak in code here because I don't want to get banned so quickly after starting up. So today's case is about a case for the Supreme Court, and it's called the Braun S-O-N brothers case. I delayed it like that. I'm going to call it the Brun Bros throughout the rest of the podcast here. So anyway, just wanted to tell you that. Obviously, this is for entertainment purposes, and this is strictly speculation. Got to cover my booty for the algorithms here. So back on J6th, or the 6th day of January in 2000 and we'll call it the year after 2020, there was, my wife and I actually watched it live on C-SPAN. There was a case that Ted Cruz and 99 other Congress or senators or both, forget exactly who, they had presented a case to Mike Pence. And what they said was that Donald Trump, Mr. T, had a obligation. He was alleging fraud in the last election, and so he, as a president, you have a constitutional right to investigate that. He has 10 days. If he submits a claim, he can submit evidence, and the Senate and the Congress have 10 days to investigate this. And because of the events that unfolded earlier that day on the 6th, we all know what that was, with the storming of the buildings in the Capitol. We, like I said, you know what I'm talking about. Got to keep it vague. We saw one by one, senators in Congress or whatever it was, I forget who, they took a vote. And they said, literally one by one, based on what had happened earlier in the day, they weren't allowing him to have this evidence submitted. And they denied it. One by one, they denied it. And then later on ruled, as we know. Anyway, fast forward, there was some brothers, and ironically they play the trumpet. They were on the Johnny Carson show as a long time ago as trumpeteers playing the trumpets. It was kind of ironic. Anyway, the Braun Bros, as we'll call them for this podcast here, they all submitted cases and against the government. And basically they went all the way up. One of them got killed in the Ninth Circuit. The other one went to the SCOTUS Supreme Court, and it got kicked back a couple times and eventually dismissed. But one of them has survived, and it's still there apparently, and it hasn't been dismissed. And there's one of the bros is named Loy Brun, S-O-N. And he basically is feeling pretty confident these days. I've seen him on podcasts, and he doesn't seem like a person whose case has been kicked out, let's just say. So what happens is, if the Supreme Court rules in favor of this case, 380 members of the House and Congress could instantly be fired because they didn't allow, if the Supreme Court rules, the president's constitutional right wasn't given to him. And therefore, anything that happened as a result of that, including the last 4 years of Sleepy Joe's campaign, we all know who Sleepy Joe is, basically it was fraud because this case was never heard. And those 380 members who all ruled against it committed treason, and they basically didn't do their oath of office, apparently, and they would be fired. And anything that happened as a result of that, including the last 4 years, would be null and void. Now, under that clause, the Mr. T would have been reinstated because it would go back to who was the president before that. And so he would be reinstated. The problem is that it would have had to do apparently 120 days. They'd have to have an emergency election, and that sounded like a big mess. Well, recently, we all know that Mr. T won the other day. And not only did he win the Electoral College, but now he's by, I think 317 was the magical number. But ironically, he also won the popular vote by quite a bit. So now we have an election that's already happened, and we, the people, have spoken. So they wouldn't need to do that. So 2 months ago, ironically, the House and somebody in the House or Congress had ruled, they tried to pass a resolution, and their theory was if 100 Congress or senators I think it was Congress people, were to suddenly die in some type of an incident, as they called it, if 100 people were to die, the Democrat Party, the DNC, could reinstate these people by anyone of their choice without having to go to an election. Now that almost seemed like they were preparing possibly or trying to write an executive order or some type of resolution or whatever you want to call it to prepare for this potential Braun Bro ruling of the Supreme Court. I don't know. Speculation, of course, but seems pretty interesting. So also today, in the last 24 hours, 4 million posting trending hashtag on X and social media platforms, on social media for the Sleepy Joe campaign, was basically to pardon Hunter and then resign, which would make Kamala the 47th president. And it would force Mr. T to change all of his swag and all of his gear that says 47, and it would be like a big middle finger towards Mr. T. Nothing says sore losers quite like that, you know. But also, it indicates, it would kind of be a slap in the face for women, because ironically they would be saying that women can't win and that they would need to be forced in by some type of a whatever you want to call it, some type of a left-handed approval, if you will. I think it would make the Dems look bad, but whatever. They always try to do stuff and ends up backfiring on them. Who knows? But during this 2 months, so who knows? They would reinstate Kamala Harris during this time. And it'd be interesting if they did that, because who knows what they could pull in this 2 months. They could slam some executive orders in that Kamala could rule that were clearly unconstitutional, but who knows? They could do stuff. They could activate, they could make executive orders to prevent Trump from coming in, maybe try to arrest him again under something stupid, Russia, or whatever. Who knows? Anything's possible. They could even, we've had 10, 20 million people come over the border wrongfully over the last 4 years, and maybe they could be activated and cause a bunch of ruckus in the cities. And then she could come in and declare martial law because of chaos that's going in the cities. Kind of like what happened in the summer of 2020. Peaceful protests. Remember what they called them? We could have some more peaceful protests with all these plants that have been allowed to cross the border over the last 4 years. And then maybe they could declare martial law. And who knows? Anything's possible. Now, if they did pull something like that, that could almost certainly force the Supreme Court to rule on the Brunson case. If in fact it really is real. We don't know because no one's talking about it. But like I said, Mr. Loy Braun is really, really confident these days. doesn't seem like a guy who is about to lose a case. Let's just say that. When he's done interviews as recently as a few days ago, he seems really confident and spirits seem up. So many believe that this is the trump card, if you will, the trump card that's hasn't been played yet. Who knows? No one knows what that card is, but that would certainly make this next 2 months a lot easier, because we all know that they're just not going to give up as easy as they have in the last couple of days. Something's up. We all know that. So, like I said, Loy seems pretty confident. Doesn't seem like someone who's getting ready to lose. Maybe this would be the perfect way to remove the last 4 years for the SCOTUS. Kind of like a reset, if you will. Sometimes you have to show the people what could happen under communism or socialism type of a ruler. And let's be honest, the last 4 years has been pretty darn close to, it's been at least Marxism, to say the least. So, that movie 1984, I think it was, what was his name? The author of that. That was supposed to be a documentary, or that was supposed to be a movie, science fiction, not a documentary. So anyway, interesting topic. So yeah, all that could, we all know the left is going to do something crazy over the next couple months, and they're going to do everything in their powers to prevent Mr. T from being sworn in, because all the shenanigans they've been pulling for the last few years, 4 years in fact, are going to come back and bite them. And they know it. What they've done is treason, illegal. Heck, even Jack Smith resigned. All those fake cases in New York. He resigned the other day. Oh, interesting. Yeah, he knows. All these people know. So anyway, hope you guys like this one. A little controversy, I know. I'll go into a little more depth about it in a future one. Sorry about trying to figure out my lighting scenario. My cameras, I'm using my iPhone right now, so forgive me for any, halos on the phone. I got dirty screens. I'm a rookie, so I'm learning. So bear with me as I learn with you guys. So don't be haters. Share, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Helps me out, of course. Helps the algorithms. Helps push me to the front of the line. Again, thank you for your support. I'll get better, I promise. The equipment will certainly get better. That's a fact. And I'm going to start doing some maybe Zoom type calls where I can display articles of stuff I talk about. Maybe put me in the little left corner so you don't have to stare at my ugly face the whole time. And then I can show you guys some of the articles where I get my information from. Maybe you can read along with me. So anyway, thanks, Patriots, for tuning in. Jason with the Patriot Podcast. Peace.